pulled up and I was texting back and forth with my wife, so I was taking a second, but I see all of a sudden he's pulling this big thing. Like, I don't know what's going on back
The
there.
comment from the day, man, I really wish my truck had that. I'm like, everyone had it. So I just called him. This will be, crazy part to me is
Like, okay, either way, it doesn't matter.
I know how. We take every inch square inch. What is this? It's tight. It's.
Cookies. I like treats.
Yep, he's got to start somewhere, so.
She said there's no.
Good
power.
spirit. You're supposed to let him.
Just for Christmas.
Right.
Yeah. When he graduated. Oh, good.
Thank you,
He
Dad.
graduated from Stockton. KU. Okay. Obi. Seattle's, as you, I won't speak.
Oh, thank you, sir.
She did, this is.
Except a lot of people do. Yeah, a lot of people do.
So.
But again, he lives in
Yeah.
Renton or Renton proper instead of Seattle proper. I'm sure it's a difference from say here in Wellington or here. Yeah, it's got to be much more conducive.
Thank you.
My opinion.
Yeah. Sure.
So anyway, he's excited.
I will.
That's something he's, why he went to school.
And then. Pretty cute.
You know,
Pretty cute.
I don't know.
Allison says, would you buy my
TCU
kid?
and it's Saturday.
Well, that's what he's got going.
I know.
That's about
I
all
went
too.
to the KU Missouri games. Yep.
Fun.
Yep. I took my son.
Yeah.
For his His birthday was in
Yeah,
September.
September.
And one of the things he wanted was to go to a game.
Right.
So he had to wait until now to go to it. But he waited. He was patient.
Something with a clarinet.
And he loved it. Like he's
Yeah.
actually he was.
That's good. We are looking, so I was hoping they would post
She had the.
Concerts.
Man, that was
Like,
quick from a
confirm
consultation.
the conference schedule and post that, like, today,
Yeah.
and they didn't. So
Mm.
I was looking for tickets.
Yeah, we did.
It-
Are you going to
one
Derby?
experience.
Yeah, that's where we're about to go.
In January
Oh,
6th. But that's one
yeah,
that
yeah.
works
We'll
on
be on
the
the
calendar, and I was like.
Say,
Oh,
So
we took Kylie and the same day we went ahead and got her space.
I have a ticket, 2 seats for 220 for TCU. No,
Oh,
total.
wow, okay.
Yeah. So these are the games that
So we did
we
it
have
every year.
yes, with my
Right.
friend that he still has available for the rest of the year,
Okay,
but
but it's not for two.
it's 2 seats.
Call this meeting,
Well, we
Board of
don't have-
Education with USD 261 to order. First off, we have the flag salute from the Haysville High School leadership students. So come on down.
I'm well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These are student representatives from our student leadership team. They're elected out of their IPS, or what most people refer to as advisory classes. And they meet weekly, pretty much, and advise me on what needs to change in our school to make it a better place for students. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Bria Robinson.
I'm Elijah Thornton.
I'm Melissa Thomas.
And they do a great job letting their voices be heard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Next item on the agenda is the president's announcements. That's me. I guess the only announcement I've got is getting ready to go on holiday break for 2 weeks. So everybody enjoy themselves, get refreshed, come back fresh and ready to go after them again. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Tom.
President's announcement.
I have a few things. I'm going to start with Miss Macias and our 2-6 Wonderful Award recipients.
All right, we have 3 awards to give tonight. So we are going to begin tonight with our student who has come. If I could have Jayceon Sears and his principal, Jenny King Reed, come to the front, please.
my pleasure to introduce to you Jayceon Sears. He is a fourth grader at Nelson. And Jayceon has been a wonderful role model for a kindergarten student this year. He helps the student get to breakfast, get to class. He's talked with the student when he's made a bad choice and encourages the student to do the right thing. This is something that Jayceon has taken completely up on his own, and he's just done a fantastic job. And I'm just really proud of him because he's actually starting to do that with other students. And he's just a great little mentor and is just kind of the exemplary student of what we want to see over at Nelson. So he has done a really good job, and I'm really proud of him. So.
Jayceon.
Thank you.
We're gonna have you come right over here with your principal so you can take a picture. Okay? Next up, we have Tess Shaw. If she could come up with her building crew, please. And Angie Carricker is going to read her nomination.
I am excited to present this award to you. She was nominated by Tanya Nelson, who is the building secretary at Tri-City Day School. She said, Ms. Shaw is an asset to our district and to Tri-City. She takes on the extra load to ensure our days at Tri-City run smoothly. She is always ready to go wherever she is needed and has a gift for de-escalating her students, and her redirection is kind and understanding while being stern when needed. Ms. Shaw goes above and beyond for her students and for staff. She has a kind heart and shares it with her students and staff.
Sure, and her team is welcome to come with her. You'll make the picture.
I did not have time to change.
She must work for a school district. Okay, next up, we have Sarah Gould. And if Sarah Gould and her team, she has a lot of support here too. If you guys will all come up, Jen Reed will be reading her nomination.
It is my pleasure to read Sarah Gould's nomination for USD261's Wonderful Award. She was nominated by Molly Cherry, who is here. Molly, raise your hand. And her team to support her would be Teresa Miller, who is the ESL teacher at HW and campus. And behind me, hiding, is Miss Dana Barrientos. She is Sarah's mentor, and she works at Freeman. Freeman, Nelson, and a little bit at Prairie. And then we have the Prairie principal, Savannah Wrightbox here. Sarah Gould has been nominated for the 2-6 Wonderful Award for her enthusiastic commitment to the ESOL program. Although she is just in her first year in the district and new to ESOL, Mrs. Gould has sought responsibilities above those indicated by her current position. At a time when educators would be finding their footing in a new school and curriculum, Mrs. Gould volunteered to present instruction to her colleagues in order that they would be able to pass the ESOL praxis exam. When these teachers receive their ESOL endorsement, the entire district will benefit from the revenue provided. Additionally, educators with an ESOL endorsement are better able to provide instruction for students who are English language learners. Mrs. Gould provided exceptional instruction to teachers while maintaining her own ESOL building program at Prairie Elementary School. She has gone above and beyond the measures commonly expected of an educator in her situation. Mrs. Gould has the passion and drive that we encourage in teachers, and we believe that she will continue to enhance not only her own classroom program, but the entire school district. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sarah. We'll have you and your team come over and get a picture as well.
Go ahead.
You want to come up front? Yep, come on up.
Come on around, just have
You move out of the way and grab one too.
Couple of more things, additional items this evening we'd like to share with the board. First, we're going to host a special meeting on the 8th of January. I will send you more information. The intent of that meeting will be at 6 o'clock. The intent of that meeting will be to swear in our new members, the board, elect officers. Then Penny Shuckman will be in to do a social contract with the board. And after that's completed, a potential executive session. So the intent behind that is so that when we get to the January regular meeting, one, it expedites that meeting, and two, we hit the ground ready to go instead of having to brief the board and bring everybody up to date. So we'll do that. And again, we'll send you that information out. Next up, I'd like for Dr. Norton to come up, please. At this time, as we know, this time of year, in an election year, we have a transition of board members. And we would like to recognize the individuals who have served in the people of USD 261, the students of USD 261, the Haysville community, for the years of service that they have provided free of charge, and donated many, many, many hours of their personal time for the betterment of our district. I first met Dr. Norton when I had the opportunity to interview with the district. And I will tell you, she was a little intimidating.
Really?
Yes, you were. And I have since gotten to know Dr. Norton and have become very fond of her and her leadership, her great knowledge, first of all, of processes, procedures, her ability to read information, synthesize that information, bring it in a way that's easy for everybody to understand. Also, she's what I would consider to be a silent leader. She is one that in a group people will migrate towards, and she is somebody that people will seek her opinion. And I have greatly valued my time working with you, Dr. Norton. On a sidebar, she also this year took over the Haysville Education Foundation and led our first fundraising event. And I'm going to let her share that good news with you later. But it was a huge success, and that was under her and her husband's direction. And that speaks to the quality of work that Dr. Norton does. She is first class, and everything she does is first class. And Susan, I cannot thank you enough for your 6 years of service to the students and staff of the Haysville Public Schools, and your many, many, many years of service to the Haysville community, Sedgwick County, Wichita State, all the different areas that you have impacted tens of thousands of students in your time. So for that, thank you for your years of service. Greatly appreciate you very much.
Well, first of all, I can't imagine anybody who's 5'1" is intimidating, but whatever. I always say this, I stand on the shoulders of giants, and I am looking at a bunch of them around this table. Thank you to all of the folks that I have worked with over the years, my fellow board members, the staff, faculty, students. I see a past superintendent sitting behind me. You don't do this work alone, and I so appreciate all of you guys and all the work that we've done together, the Sturm and Draught, is that what it's called? The good times, the bad times, the hard times, but the fact that we always thought first of what's right for the kids, what's right for our community, what's right for the people who live in our home. So thank you very much. And I'm not going away. I'm not that old yet, so you'll see me around. Thank you.
We'll get one with the whole board if we can. Mr. Gibson.
Yeah.
Come on up.
You're both ready.
Susan and I talked earlier today. So
I didn't get the memo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the board don't need to, in their community, do a formal introduction, but Tom Gibson has served on the Board of Education for 8 years. Tom is an individual who is very given of his time. You will see him at community events. You will see him at school events. You will see him at state events that are for the betterment of public education for the community. He is very, very giving of his time and does a tremendous job of volunteering in our schools. He volunteers in the community. You will see Tom everywhere. Things that I admire most about Tom is his ability to process information and make a decision that's best for students. And I will tell you that many, many times, as we've said in discussions, Tom will look and say, that's what's best for kids. Let's do this. And that selfless approach that Tom brings to the table has been greatly appreciated in the time that I've been here in the previous years. Tom, you've been a great board member. You've impacted a lot of tens of thousands of people in your time in the community and in the school system. I want to thank you for that. As I told both Susan and Tom in a personal note I wrote to them, I also am grateful to them and will always be indebted for taking a chance on me and giving me a shot. And for that, I want to say thank you as well. And this two individuals have been great board members, and we wish them the best as they transition out of the board. And I no doubt they'll be in community service the rest of their lives because that's what they're all about. So Tom, thank you so much.
Thank you for the
Appreciate it
kind
very
words.
much.
I'm going to save my remarks for later. So stick around. It could be fun.
If we could get the entire board up, we'd get a quick picture with
Oh,
Susan before we wrap up.
man.
Didn't you guys address it? You didn't get the message, did you?
Hey, we're Christmas.
Christmas Eve at a different country.
Yes, show the shoes, Jenny.
Don't take a picture of my shoes. It's adorable.
They're so cute. Come on,
Yeah,
Jenny.
it's really comfy. Who's in the front? Corey, you're in the front.
All right, I'm always in the front. There you go.
I understand.
Guys, you know the feeling.
I know the
I know.
feelings.
Okay, you see that? Is that what you want?
I do, thank you. And 1, 2, 3. Again, guys, 1, 2, 3.
I did have one thing that I missed on my announcements. And I think all the board members got an email on this. As a classified staff member, I would like to thank you for all the approving of the paid break last week. This small act of 5 days of self-care has been enormous. Blessings this year. I feel refreshed, renewed, and ready for these last 2 weeks of classes and our finals week at campus. Crystal Wortham, CHS Inclusive Para. I think we all got that, didn't we? That's all I've got. And now, the best part of the whole night. Nat, you're up, kid.
I think someone forgot their box. Oh. I only have 2 quick announcements today. It's going to be very short. Our first one is we have our winter wishes. We completed that form during November before break, and then we ended it, I believe, last week. In total, we were able to help 26 students, and out of these 26 students, 12 of them were parent students as well. We collaborated between HHS and CHS, so that was really great. We gave them gift cards and each gift card had a different amount depending on what products they needed or whether it was a coat or shoes. We also made them personalized holiday cards that wished them a happy Merry Christmas or happy holidays, and we handed them out Friday and today as well. We actually got an email that our sponsor shared with us, and it was really sweet. It was telling us that one of the families were super grateful and that their kids were beyond grateful, and they felt like Winter Wishes really impacted them. So we were really happy about that. And then the next thing we had was Cocoa Cram. Cocoa Cram took place last week between Wednesday and Thursday. We had 60 students show up overall. We typically used to only do freshmen and we helped them over their finals, but we decided to expand to upperclassmen as well. We gave them snacks and we also had hot cocoa for them. We had a lot of upperclassmen, so our link leaders at campus that helped tutor was really great. The kids were all super engaged. They felt more prepared. I know when I was a freshman, I was terrified about finals, but they were all really excited and they feel more calm. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I have today. Is there any questions?
Thank you. Have a great break.
Thank you, you too. Have a great one.
Any new and good anyone wants to throw out there?
I forgot to email you, Debbie. I'm sorry.
I always forget.
I do. It's my bad. I just want to thank Susan and Tom for your service. It's been a pleasure serving with you on the board and you will be missed. Thank you.
Ditto. I second that.
Yeah, that's emotional.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeremy. we need to approve an agenda amenda. We need to agenda amenda and
Agenda amenda.
yeah, whatever you want to, just do it, okay? Need to remove 3.6 disposal of a Chevy passenger truck.
Easy for you to say.
Let go of it. I second that ish.
I guess I got a motion in a second to remove 3.6 from the agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
If I may, Tom, on that vehicle, we were originally going to bring it to the board to be disposed of, as the agenda says. However, BJ came up with a great idea at the last minute, and we offered it to the campus automotive program, and they took it. So it's going to go to a great cause there, and they'll utilize that truck in the shop. So appreciate BJ's insight on that.
Very good.
How long will they be able to use that?
Well, I mean, I don't know much about what they're doing there. They could use it forever. So they keep it. I've seen some of the cars they have left in there a long time.
They told me they take it apart and then they put it back together. And then they take it apart and then they put it back together.
Awesome.
See how much longer that technology is around.
So as long as it runs, it's probably still good.
Well, I didn't even have to run for them. All right,
It was a part.
2.1 hearing of scheduled district patrons, and we don't have any of those. Is there anybody from the crowd would like to speak and address us this evening? Nobody? All right, thank you. 3.1 consent agenda. The only thing is we need to ensure that when we make this motion that we do include that we've excluded 3.6 from this consent agenda. Has anybody got anything that they'd like to remove from the consent agenda and discuss separately?
No, but I would like to, as always, on behalf of all those folks who give gifts and grants and give money to the district, thank you on behalf of all of us for doing that. Somebody else will have to do it in January for me.
I think Callie's gonna take it up.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, she's on the board.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 3.6, which was removed.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Jerem, a second by Miss Courtney. Easy there. To approve the consent agenda minus 3.6. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 4.0 Treasurer's Report, Mr. Craig.
Yeah, just one new thing that we're moving forward with at this point is that we'll have the activity fund statements from each of the secondary schools included with the report that we give out to the board as we move forward. Other than that, everything else is good. Bills are paid.
I'll move to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Miss Susan, seconded by Miss Jennifer to approve the treasurer's report as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 5.0 Strategic Plan.
I can turn that on, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Great. Mr. Hirsch has requested that we talk about the strategic plan since it's our brand new and we're rolling it out this year, the 23-28 community strategic plan. So we're going to go over each goal area every meeting. And I got the privilege to start us off with goal area 1, which is under student engagement. So that's kind of my wheelhouse anyway. So goal area 1 states to ensure every student has access to an innovative and robust learning experience from birth through graduation that prepares all students to successfully navigate the workforce or post-secondary opportunities. So what does that mean? What we're talking about when we want to give Robust learning experiences to students. First of all, they need to have the correct curriculum and resources. They need, teachers need to have professional development around those resources and that curriculum so they know best instructional practices and how to teach. We need to monitor the progress, not only for student academic achievement, but we need to monitor what our teachers are saying, what they need more of or what they need less of, and we do that consistently. We need to build connections and relationships with students so that they'll want to come to school and they'll be excited about learning and therefore they will be engaged in instruction. We need to embed the soft skills or the study skills within that curriculum, which we do have. And then we need to continue to have and develop innovative ideas because our student interests and focus are changing as they come to school. It's not the same as it was when I was in school or when my parents were in school. So we need to make sure that we have an open mind and really entertain those innovative ideas that'll keep students engaged in school. So how do we know that we're going to be successful with student engagement with robust curriculum? Well, first of all, we need to have happy and safe learning environments because if students are happy and they feel safe, then they're going to learn and they're going to be more engaged. A huge success criteria is graduation. Ultimately, we want all of our students walking across the stage. That's a huge accomplishment. We want students to be able to have real world experiences and to be problem solvers. We also want to ensure that they have a curriculum that's evidence and research based. So we're not just going to throw the cheapest thing at them because we can afford it. In fact, our last curriculum adoptions were about 1.5 years, and that's how far we dug into it and we piloted and field tested items to make sure that we are getting the best of the best for our students. We want to make sure that we have the best practices, the best instructional strategies, the best teachers. We want to make sure that we're having conversations that are data-driven and instructionally focused. And ultimately, every single decision we make is about students. Is it what's best for kids? And then finally, the big 3 success criteria is we want increased attendance, which will lead to increased academic state assessment type scores and increase post-secondary success. So not only are they going to graduate and walk across the stage, but they're going to be prepared for whatever comes next. So the action steps that we've taken specifically for student engagement this year was the adoption and rollout of our new K-12 ELA curriculum and our 6-12 math curriculum. And that's been going very well. For the very first time, we actually have tier 2 and tier 3 components to that curriculum for students that might need a little bit more support. We are developing pacing guides. Krista and Shanae, our curriculum and assessment coordinators, have already started developing pacing guides for ELA and math, which is no small feat. On January 2nd, our staff is going to kind of take the reins with pacing guides and they're going to develop the rest. So by the end of the year, every single class that we teach is going to have a pacing guide, and that will ensure that our students are exposed to the curriculum in a timely manner. That means that all of the standards will be taught and the students will leave knowing everything that needs to be done for that specific classroom or that specific grade level for the next year. Those pacing guides also ensure that if a student is at an assessed grade level, that the curriculum they need to be successful on that assessment is taught prior to the assessment beginning, which is around the end of March or early April. So Krista and Shanae, especially with ELA and math, have been kind of moving that forward. We're rolling with the punches with the new graduation requirements. That starts with our 8th graders that will be 9th graders next year. So we're already meeting and starting down that road with what do we need to do to be prepared to make sure that our students that are going to come into high school next year are ready to go with the new graduation requirements. And good news is we only have a couple things to tweak. We're already on the right path with the majority of it. We've provided letters training for our staff. Any staff K3 or pre-K3 and special ed, our instructional coaches and our admin that wanted to get letters training were given that opportunity. Now they volunteered, and I'll tell you, this is no light task. They, for 2 years, have put in 40 to 60 additional hours of work with letters. And that is directly related to the science of reading, which is actually really diving deep into teaching kids how to read. Now, the district has agreed to pay them for the amount of time. They fill out a Google form when they complete some training, and then at the end, we pay them according to the negotiated agreement. We have consistent professional learning community meeting forms now. So it's all on a Google form. When our PLCs meet, they fill out the Google form, and the Google form now asks them where they're at in ELA and math. So we can look and compare it to the pacing guide, and our principals have that access too. So we can see if we're still needing to move forward a little bit, if we're needing to monitor and adjust, or if we need to have a meeting and figure out what's going on. And then finally, our PLC forms connect to data conversations, because we need to bring that back to the forefront. We need to be looking at student data and looking at where we need to grow, what we need to do to increase student achievement. So again, this is only the first area of, this is only goal area 1 and the first section of goal area 1. So I'm going pull this up real quick. We have asked that all of our principals communicate the strategic plan this year several times over. We want to make sure that it's a community strategic plan so that we're getting it out to all stakeholders. So we're asking them to document how they're communicating the strategic plan this year. And it doesn't just go out to building principals, but for example, learning services, we do that. If the business department is doing that, or HR, they're writing it down too. So I've given you an example here. This is Campus High School. So they will talk about what focus area and goal that they're communicating, what they did, what kind, was it a staff meeting? Did they have a Zoom meeting? Was it a PLC? Did they send something out? What did they do? What's our area for improvement focus? Because we talked about how we have some areas for improvement. So we're tying that in. So it's not just one more thing. It's how do we make it collectively together? Then the date, the month, the season, the part of the year, when did it happen? And then finally, who was your audience? Are you talking to parents? Are you talking to the community? Is it staff? Is it students? Who are you talking to about this? So every single school building and every single department has a tab. So they can see also what each other is doing, and they might be able to get ideas. Oh, well, I haven't talked to parents yet, but campus already has. So what did they do? And maybe they can mirror that as well. But the goal is to get the strategic plan out there for everybody to know, here's our united guiding focus, and this is the way we're moving for kids. So in a nutshell, that is student engagement. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, Greg.
It's a thought, it's a suggestion. You mentioned the words that stuck out with me as innovative ideas. Some cases we can incentivize them, do a return on investment, cost benefit analysis, whatever, for the district. But I think we need some place where people can put this information down and send it to you. Some cases may do with buses, it may do with curriculum, but they're still innovative ideas. I think we need to publicize that. And in some cases, it saves the district $1 million. Maybe we give them 1%. That's fictitious, but I think we need to publicize that so people know that. I'll just use, it's not the best one, but the bank at campus. I mean, there has been a return on investment there. Don't know what it is. Has it saved the district money? No. Has it improved curriculum? Yes. But I think that we need to push that or make sure that they know that their ideas are welcome. Their creative inputs are welcome. And somehow we could maybe dollarize them. It could be a cost savings, cost avoidance, or whatever. But I want to make sure that people feel comfortable in getting this information to the right person.
Absolutely.
I think we need to put a page or whatever, in my opinion, and make sure that people know that. And it may be from K through 12. It may just be called high school. I don't know, but I want to make sure that the people have a place to go to put their ideas down on paper and forward it to someone to review.
I will give a shout out to our campus high school principal, Mr. Seeley. He has a lot of vast knowledge in the career and tech ed department and developing CTE and college and career pathways. And he is currently enlisting his staff and going around and talking to his staff about different types of ideas and how they can grow those pathways in different directions that they're going. So for the most part, I do think our pipeline for staff is to go to their principal, and then their principal shares it with district office.
Greg, there's also, I've received a couple, not very many, but there's an email address that you can send innovative ideas to that comes to me.
Okay.
And excuse me. I found out about it. I think I received my first one either last spring or over the summer because I didn't know why it was being sent to me, to be very honest with you, and from the address it came from. And so there is a process where staff can send an email that comes directly to me with ideas, ways to save money. Have you thought about this? So that does exist currently. Maybe what we need to do a better job of is publicizing it so that people have it again.
I mean, people find ways to get complaints to us. Just find ways that we get ideas. But you just mentioned staff. There are people in the community who also have ideas.
It's
So-
called an innovation line, is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
Innovation.
I wasn't aware. Okay.
And one other thing you may not be aware of, and the rest of the board may not be, to be honest. As of December 1st, I think, is when the email went out. HEF, the Education Foundation, is going to do a second round of grants like we did last year. We did 15 last year, 13 last year. This year, because the Barn Bash was as successful as it is, we're hoping that maybe we can give out 30 grants.
Oh, wow.
I know I see Amy out there. Amy's one of our grant recipients with her Dudes program. And we're hoping that we get those kinds of really cool ideas again. The other thing we've opened it up this year is not only are the grants open to our teachers, it's open to anybody who works in the system. If we've got somebody who drives a bus and has a great idea of what they can do to be innovative and do something special for a kid who on the bus, we're open to it. So those grants went out the 1st of December. The deadline is January 15th. We hope to have those vetted and that grant money going out sometime in February. So that's another avenue.
Yeah, that's both are pockets of money or funding, and they could submit it to both, and that's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
If I could point out, there's a couple of things I'd like to reference that Jen talked about. First of all, I want to thank our staff. The pacing guides they're a challenge for our staff because it's a different way of doing things. But I will tell you, as I was doing my visits throughout the district building principals this last 10 weeks, we walked through every classroom. And I will tell you, for the first time since I've been here, when I walked into a 3rd grade classroom or 4th grade classroom, it's easier to see at elementary than it is secondary, just based on the facility itself, the way classrooms are set up. They're all working on within a lesson or two of their colleagues. And you think about that, we assume that happens, but that doesn't always happen. Teacher has the ability to say, hey, this kid's need a little more time. But I will tell you, the fidelity to the curriculum is as high as I've seen it. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our staff, principals, teachers, parents, everybody that's part of that role for making sure that happens. Because as Jen said, if kids aren't exposed to the curriculum, they can't be successful. And right now they have the right curriculum. They'll continue to refine the pacing guides. And over time, they'll fine tune those to a point where they'll be, as time moves on, easier to work through. Second thing I want to point out that Jen brought up, and that's letters training. Commissioner at KSDE, Dr. Watson, has shared in many meetings, every teacher should go through letters training, every teacher. And the value of that, and that the state's paying for staff to do that through some funds that we receive. And Jen, the first year I came in, we were talking about, through Jen's leadership, this is what our teachers need to have access to. And she has led that process. And it's a lot of work. And our teachers have spent a lot of time doing it, but it will pay off in the instruction that happens in the classroom. And those are two things that I've noticed in the last year that are really impacting what's happening in students' learning. And I want to thank Jen for her work and her team and our teachers for everything that they do, and our staff, because they are working hard.
Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Jen.
Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to come talk to you about a grant that our student-based health clinic has received. Linda Long will be coming to you in January with a presentation to explain all about this grant and what we're going to do with those funds. But in the meantime, part of the grant does call for a part-time receptionist due to the extra responsibilities that we will be responsible for with this grant in that health clinic. And so I wanted to bring this to you and ask permission to go ahead and open that position, since it is a new position, so that we can start looking for a person to begin in January. Not right when we come back, but
The
later.
grant funds the position.
The grant completely funds the position.
Can you give us an idea of what, besides receptionist, what's this person?
Yes, so this person, the current staff down there that really work more on the McKinney-Vento, the foster care, the homeless components of what Linda Long and her team does, while this new person will work on things more related to what the grant has given us permission to do with the student-based health clinic, which will bring in more clients, seeing more students and more community members.
So more of a true receptionist job.
Yes, scheduling appointments, keeping files straight, things like that. And yes, just to reiterate, the grant 100% funds this position.
Do we need a motion on this?
Quick, is this employee considered USD 261 or KU employee?
The grant is given to USD 261, so this person would be considered a USD 261 employee.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The caveat for Linda is she has to bring the grandbaby when she comes in January.
Yes, yes.
Don't want to spoil it, but the grant is going to significantly impact the way we do business in our district in regards to the health clinic. It is monumental and it's exciting. So we'll bring that, don't want to steal her thunder, but she will bring that to you in January.
Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Jillian.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Do we need to take any action on this? Or are you just
You-
reporting
we
this
need
to us?
We need a motion, or is it just report? Yeah.
Just
We started off as a report so that the board knows if the board feels comfortable with it because of the grant piece and wants to make a motion, then you most certainly can. If not, you can bring it back next month. And then we will advertise it as soon as it's approved. So it's your call whether you want to do it tonight or
I'm
not.
comfortable making a motion if it's paid for by the grant specifically, so we'd have to have the position in order to get the grant. It sounds like it's monumental to make some changes. If we don't get the grant, obviously we wouldn't have the position, so I'm comfortable making that motion.
Well, I don't know if you can make a motion though, without knowing what you're going to expend for that position.
I'm expending anything that comes from the grant is what it sounds like.
You still, shit still needs to be in the motion. So,
Of how much it's going to be.
I think you could just say it's grant funded.
you buy with that? Okay.
Part-time position funded by a grant that would be in place as long as the grant is in place. Because once the grant is gone, at that point, the district is going to have to make some decisions about the health-based clinic, school-based health clinic, continuing and so forth.
How
So
long is that grant for? Do we know?
I believe it is 3 years. is
3
that
years.
correct? 3 years. Mhm.
and we have received it. The district has received the grant. That was approved last month by the state board.
So
If you're more-
grandbaby has trumped this.
What's that?
The grandbaby trumped the grand.
What
We'll get that. It's
Because she's
perfectly
gone this
understand.
week, that's right.
Perfect.
we didn't want to
So-
do is bring this in January, then have to wait for February approval, and then you're in March before you can hire the position. So if the board approves it in January, that's fine. That's what we intended.
Okay.
And then we would just advertise it as soon as it was approved by the board. So it doesn't have to be approved tonight.
When does the grant begin?
The grant begins, it is for the 23-24 school year, but since their board just approved it last month, it will begin for us in January.
So again, no actions needed tonight.
Okay.
If the board wishes to wait until January, we will bring the final number at that time.
Nothing? Okay.
Sounded like you had some reservation to wait, so.
Well, yeah, I kind of do. And I'm looking at you guys because you're going to be here and I'm not. So,
And him.
and him, I'll look over there too. The big question I would have is if we wait, then now it's February, then it's March, and we still don't have a receptionist in place. If this thing's gonna change in January, it makes sense to us to let Jillian go ahead and at least get this person advertised. I can't imagine we're gonna have somebody on board before January anyway, but let's at least get this advertised and get this thing going.
Well,
That would
maybe
be
that's the
my-
question. Is your plan to hire prior to, or you're just gonna open it up and get
Whatever you're
interest?
most comfortable with. We would love the opportunity to at least open it and get some interest.
Mhm.
If you would like to wait for final approval until you've heard the presentation, you're welcome to do that.
And that's how I would caveat it. Open it up, let them get interest in, but not approve the actual position until the board has presented the entire grant, the grant in its entirety. So then you have all the information. So at least they can go get the interest.
At least have the thing posted and start
Yep,
looking
yep.
for this person would be my, are you guys okay?
I don't think that's going to hurt anything.
That's exactly, and I'm afraid if you wait, your
Mhm.
timeline just keeps getting stretched out.
That's
and
our
then-
concern.
Yes,
That's why we're bringing it tonight, so that we
Okay.
get a first read. And then in January, upon a board approval, it's ready to roll. We're not waiting until February on the second, so
Absolutely.
read or second action item.
okay, then I'll make a motion that we put this receptionist position out for posting. I guess that's a good word for it. But hiring will probably have to wait for grant approval in January, but at least we can get this started. Is that?
Probably
work for
grant
you, Jillian?
presentation, because I think the approval already occurred. We already got the
Okay.
grant. So grant presentation.
Grant
Yeah, and that will
presentation.
take place at School-Based Health Clinic. Linda will be here in January to present all of that to the board.
Deb, is that make sense?
Clear as mud.
Yeah.
I second that. Muddy
Whatever.
situation.
As long as we all understand what I said. Okay,
So the motion is to grant authority for the district to advertise the position.
thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Gregg?
If Linda could send us information in advance, might speed up the process or a presentation. If there's any nuances or anything interesting. Okay.
I got a motion by Miss Susan, seconded by Miss Jennifer to allow Miss Jillian to post the position. I think that was it, right?
Yes.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Action items. We went through this last month with a special meeting. And this is the JBCC enrollment of non-resident students in our district. Talked about this last meeting a couple of times. Has anybody got any questions about this?
No.
Let me read this before you ask a question. No, go ahead, ask a question.
Maybe it's the number of dates beginning on page 3 of 6 that starts with a May 1st date. June 1st to June 1st to June 30th. There's a July date. At the very bottom of it, it is a May 15th date. So it may flow, may be a good timeline, but I was a little confused if there was some overlap or.
State, didn't
Yeah, so the
Okay.
dates are set by statute.
Okay,
The June dates are set by statute. That's when the district has to take enrollment. Then July is the approval and letters. They give the district, the individual districts, that very last date. When you read the policy, it's just May blank. And as a board, you have to decide when it is we're going to let families know that they're not eligible to return the next year. That date will not come into play until the 24-25 school year. In the spring of 25, we have to let anybody who we take next year know by May 15th that they're not eligible to come back. The other dates are all set by law.
well, again, May 15th date, but it also talks about the process going from May 1st to May 30th, but and another June 1st to June 30th. But if you reviewed it, go ahead.
That's the state's policy. We just gotta okay it.
The only date we were allowed to
We don't get to
amend
not
was the
okay
very
it.
last one, Greg. That was the only one we were allowed.
I know, it's very confusing. When I read it, I got, just like you needed to write all this stuff down and move marbles around or something to understand what they were doing, but it's legalese from the state. And that's what we have to use. Any other questions?
So as a reminder to the board, you will not set numbers tonight. That will not be done until second semester. That has to be done by May 1st.
All we're doing is approving the policy.
Yes.
I'm going to make a motion, whereas the Kansas law KSA 722236 requires the Board of Education of any Unified School District to adopt a policy to determine the number of non-resident students that the school district has the capacity to accept in each grade, kindergarten through eighth grade, and program grades 9 through 12 for each school of the school district pursuant to KSA 72-3123 and amendments thereto. And whereas Unified School District 261, Sedgwick County, Kansas, timely published notice and have held a public hearing on the 13th day of November 2023 to hear and consider testimony and evidence on the proposed policy. And whereas the Board of Education of Unified School District 261, Sedgwick County, Kansas, has considered the testimony and evidence presented or submitted at the public hearing and determined whether to adopt or revise the proposed policy at a subsequent public meeting of the board.
Second.
Welcome.
I had it. I was right with you.
That was tough, Norton.
I think it's interesting that we have to approve this policy whether or not we want to do it. This is forced on us by the state. So this pomp and circumstance that we're doing right now is being forced upon us, whether we agree with it or not. Not that I disagree with it. I would just like that to be known.
But even talking about the dates, the confusion around the dates is not our choice.
This is not a district policy. This is a state policy.
Been a motion. I made a motion. Miss Susan seconded. Is there any further discussion? The only thing I can say, if you folks out there don't like this policy, you need to call your state legislature.
And please
Because
do.
it's not us doing this, okay? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education, Unified School District 261, don't laugh, I gotta read this. Sedgwick County, Kansas, at a meeting lawfully assembled on this 11th day of December, 2023, almost blew that, that the attached policy attached is adopted and published on the school district's website, adopted by the Board of Education of Unified School District 261, Sedgwick County, Kansas, the 11th day of December, 2023. All board members must sign this form as it comes around. It's coming.
Thank you. I'd point out you have met the state statute in required adoption before January 1 of 2024.
Yeah, yes.
Well, glad that's over. Okay. Do we have any first readings?
Doesn't matter which one we do.
Okay, the only thing, Miss Susan, we skipped over you earlier on the barn bash. Do you have anything that you'd like to report on
Yes,
that?
please. Thank you. I think all of us who were there had a good time. I was thoroughly exhausted, I'll tell you that much. But it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate everybody who put their time and talent and all the stuff. We had almost 48 silent auction items. We had folks who were just constantly giving us stuff for the barn bash. I will tell you, Carla Wolf and Dawn Blue will forever be at Cow Patty Bingo. They were hilarious. They were so much fun.
Who won?
It was not I tried really,
It was
really
Dawn Blue.
hard. Yeah. I tried really hard to get it to do its thing in my square, but it didn't.
She didn't even know it was in her
Did
pocket.
the high schoolers get to cook? Did they get to grill with the?
And no, what happened was, the cooking team from the Wagon Masters had to do it at the barn, and they had to do it the day of, and the kids were in school. So we didn't get to do that. We asked them about serving, and at that point, the kids were out of school and they had other things to do. So we're hoping maybe we can connect them another way with the Wagon Boys, Wagon Masters, sorry. Don't go there. But yeah, the best part of it was we will have our last barn bash meeting for this year's on Wednesday. We're getting together one last time to kind of do a rehash on what we want to do different, what needs to change, what happens, and all of that stuff. I will say that even though I don't have the final numbers, we made over $40,000. Which
awesome.
thank you, everybody, because it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun.
And it goes directly to staff and students. That's amazing.
Absolutely. You got to remember, there was no personnel cost because everybody volunteered their time to make this happen. So I can guarantee that we will have at least 30 innovation grants going out this year. So I'm hoping that everybody who can put in something innovative, please do. Adia is kind of the point person. Are you still back there? Adia is the point person for getting everything into the Google Docs so that our committee can take a look at it after January 15th. When we hope to present checks out sometime in February, if the weather allows. So great time. And anybody, if you've got some input of what you liked, what you didn't like, what you might suggest, shoot me an email, let me know.
I want to be able to put money into a jug, and whoever makes the most money has to get on the bowl, the like thing.
That
I
was
think you could
suggested
raise,
at one point.
think
and
you
there
could
was
raise some money on the side.
There
I'd
was
like
a
to see
whole
Jared Craig on that.
liability issue deal. I didn't want to go there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And again, you know,
Don't
at
have
this
board
point, I
member.
think the next thing that the foundation is going to do is start looking at possibly some other smaller things that we can do besides the barn bash, so we don't have all our eggs in one basket. That's a whole nother thing. And finding somebody who can take over as director of the barn bash
Did you hear
of
what
the
I just said?
foundation. I'm sorry.
Did you hear what I just said?
I'm sorry. What was
A dunk tank where you can dunk a board member.
Here, it's not done now. Yeah, we're all over that one. But at any rate, it was, I think, very successful for a first go round. Met beyond my expectations. So I appreciate all of the help and everybody who was part of it. Plus, it was a darn good party, I must say. So
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Hats off to you and Tim and the rest of the board that's on the HU. What is it?
The
Foundation?
Haysville Education Foundation
Okay.
Committee, board, and the Barn Bash Committee, two separate entities.
Hats off to all those folks because they
Thank
did a
you.
tremendous job.
Yes, they did.
I think everybody had a good time, so good for you.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Debbie, future agenda items.
Okay, we have the ASA report from Mr. Ryan in January. All these will be January. K-5 principals, the impact of the new assistant principals. Policy IFCC will come to you in reports in January. School-based health clinic will, the report will be given in January. And then in February, we have a dress code review. Flagans Carpenter Sports Complex Agreement, the report of administrative evaluations and the extension of administrative contracts, school calendar proposals. March, we have handbooks, first reading, temporary summer help, free breakfast program update, capital outlay, first reading, and then there will be an audit report whenever the audit happens. Schedule an audit.
You suppose we'll have it back before the next audit's due?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Very good. Anything else, Miss Debbie? I want to thank you for the little Christmas flags. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, thank you, Debbie.
We have no executive session tonight. There were some bets going on, so I got 7 minutes to kill. So I got the right person who wins the bet.
It says 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay. This is my last meeting and I've enjoyed being here for 8 years. Not only the board members that we've got, the staffs here, a lot of staff has turned over in the last 3 or 4 years, but I've enjoyed being here. And I want to tell you, this board that we've got now is probably one of the most highest functioning boards that are around. And you talk to any other school district and they'll probably tell you the same thing. Our people, we don't fight amongst ourselves and we may disagree with each other, but at the end of the day, after the vote's over, we all go the same direction. And I truly hope that the new board doesn't think with their hearts. There's over 5,000 students out there and over 1,500 employees out there, plus all the residents in this school district that depend on you guys, you 7 people and ladies, to make the right decision. And you can't make that right decision, correct, thinking only with your heart. You got to think with your head. Is it good for the students and the staff of our community? Or is it just good for 3 or 4 of the kids that I like in the community? We must continue to go on thinking with our heads, sitting down, talking about it. And if you got questions, ask somebody. Don't sit around and mope about it. Ask somebody the question to get the answer that's correct, not the one that somebody thinks is correct. I've always had the habit when people ask me, my customers ask me about one of my products, if I didn't know, I was honest with them and told them, I don't know, but I'll find out and get back to you. And I see a lot of that coming out of this building. People will find the answer for you and they will get back to you. So think with your head, not your heart. And thanks for 8 years. It's been great. Thank you. Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night.
3 more minutes.